everyone, this is a requested video, my top decks for beginners. Somebody asked me what decks I'd recommend for beginners, and I also saw Ethany did her like top 10 tarot decks for beginners. So I'm going to go through quickly. First of all, my first recommendation is the Rider-Smith Tarot, Rider-Waite-Smith, however you want to pronounce it, RWS. Tarot. I have the Radiant Rider-Waite in the tin. It is a mini version. I recommend the Rider-Waite because it is used in just about every tarot book it's referred to. So if you really want to learn like the most commonly used system and the one that's most referred to, I would recommend this. And I like the Radiant because I don't really like the muted tones of the classic decks. Some people love that, and if you love that, definitely go for it. See, I love that it's just a lot more colorful. I feel like the lines are cleaner and neater for this particular, but there's lots of different, you know, sort of variations of the RWS you can get. I encourage you, like, even just to have one around for reference, even if it's not your favorite. I resisted getting a Rider-Waite-Smith deck for years because it was boring and everybody has it, and the art didn't terribly appeal to me. And then I found this one, and I thought, well, I'll get this, you know, as a reference deck, and then ended up getting the version in the tin, and I thought, oh, this is a great purse deck, and it's great because it just like fits into the purse, no problem. Another deck I'd recommend to beginners is Tarot of a Moon Garden. This one, for some reason, it seems to appeal to a lot of people when they're younger. I know back in the 90s it appealed to me, and I know several others that had this back in the 90s. It is definitely not a scary deck. It is beautiful and colorful. It's got, like, you know, unicorns and fairies on it, but it still follows the Rider-Waite-Smith system to some extent. It is a bit pippish, but I know a lot of people have used this deck and felt quite comfortable with it. I think the only drawback is that the pictures don't really show, like, you know, for example, the Ten of Staves doesn't really show what it actually means. But I do know that there are a lot of beginners who really love this deck and really kind of jived with it. So if you're kind of into sort of more 90s type art or like cute kind of art, you might resonate more with this particular deck. I like this moon. This is a really good moon. So that is the Tarot of the Moon Garden. I don't know if it's still in print, but I think you can find a lot of copies online for relatively cheap. So it's still floating around, that's for sure. Now the rest of these, almost all of them are Rider-Waite-Smith clones, but they're some of my favorite Rider-Waite-Smith clones, and what I mean by that is they all use the Rider-Waite system. So it's, you know, it doesn't matter, you can use this deck for learning the Rider-Waite-Smith system. So I have first here the Everyday Witch is one of my favorites. It's a new one. I love it. It's got a great 90s kind of vibe. The pictures are very good at showing you kind of what it is. It does kind of follow the Rider-Waite-Smith, not exactly, but it does have Rider-Waite-Smith elements. It's very colorful. It's borderless. It's, you know, easy to look at. I think it's relatively easy to read. It's visually appealing. So that's one of my faves there. Comes in a nice box, so you don't have to get a bag for it, which is nice. Right. So that one, and I think the same artist also did the Greenwich Tarot, which is another one of my favorite. I did have to get a box for this one because that's one Llewelyn. This boxes were a little flimsier. It's the back there. It's got more of a pagan vibe, whereas I say like the Everyday Witch kind of has a more charmed, funky kind of 90s sort of pop vibe. This is very much like pagan, but very sweet pagan. It's not, it's definitely not a dark deck, although it does have, you know, sort of a little bit of dark elements, but nothing too challenging. So if you really like kind of a more pagan Wiccan kind of vibe, I would recommend this one. Again, the pictures are very Rider-Waite-Smith based. There are a couple of some little differences, but I think for the most part it's a pretty good one to start with. And again, it's borderless. The pictures are lovely, and that really helps. You have to love the artwork. You know, if you're going to get into a deck, you're going to have to love the artwork. Another RWS sort of based deck that I really love and think is good for beginners is the Steampunk Tarot. So if you're into that, this one does have black borders, but it doesn't really bother me. And that is the backings there. Lots of browns. I like that the pages and the knights aren't all men. And it is, you know, quite Rider-Waite-Smith based. Got Temperance. It's lovely. Easy to learn system. It's good. It's very good. And it's kind of, you know, some people have said it's a more masculine deck, so, you know, men tend to like more. I don't really go with the whole masculine feminine thing. I think those are made up constructs, but whatever. If you like that aesthetic, whatever you want to define it as, then I would recommend this deck, that's for sure. What else do we have here? Another great fun Rider-Waite-Smith clone is the Halloween Tarot, which I'm going to be using this October. I love this deck so much. This is also, I think, a 90s deck, or at least a 2000s. It is Rider-Waite-Smith base. It is so cute, and if you love spooky cute things, I would definitely recommend this deck. Okay. So that is the back there. So first of all, whoop. And you've got the Fool here. The Magician. So as you can see, it's that very kind of like kitschy, you know, Halloween kind of vibe. And then the suits are, we've got pumpkins for the pentacles. Very, very cute. What do we got here? We've got ghosts for cups. Look at those cute little ghosts. We've got bats for the swords. And then we've got imps for the wands. So very, very cute. If you like kind of creepy cute things, and it's still very Rider-Waite-Smith based, pictures, you know, help you with telling you what it is. So I would recommend this one. All right, let's put this one back together in the box. All right. Another sort of Rider-Waite-Smith clone is the Llewelyn Tarot. So if you like sort of more Arthurian, mystical, watercolor type art, this one I would recommend as well. The box comes with a really nice book. They're a little more square. These ones I find they're a little bigger, but you may not mind that. Some people have trimmed it because the borders are quite big, but I don't mind them. It's, again, you've got this very beautiful watercolor, and if you're familiar with Celtic, especially Welsh mythology, this might be the deck for you. It's gorgeous. The art is beautiful. So if you kind of like that stuff better, I recommend this one. And again, it's Rider-Waite-Smith based, so you know you can't go wrong with kind of sort of learning the system with this one. Two others I recommend that are, you know, I've mixed feelings about this author, as you probably know because of one of my videos that just took off, even though I did not expect it to. Serene Virtue decks. I have mixed feelings about them because some of them I feel are kind of were just slapped together really quickly and stamped their name on to sell them, and not a lot of thought put into them, especially the fairy deck. But I do have two that I would recommend to beginners, especially people that are kind of like getting into tarot, maybe a little nervous about it, or have people around them that are nervous about the tarot. And that is the Angel Tarot cards, which I actually think this deck, more thought was put into this one. I think this is probably the best out of her tarot decks. Comes in a nice, you know, kind of convenient Hay House box. It's got the little book with it, but you don't even really need the book. Got the beautiful silver gilding because it's got the meanings written right down there. So definitely a big help when you're learning the cards. For water, they kind of have mermaids or cups. You know, they divide it by elements. You've got water, fire, air, and earth. Earth has fairies on it, and you can see it's got the green border, whereas water has the blue border. Fire has dragons, it's got a red border, so it really can help you with learning. And then air has a darker blue border, and it's got unicorns, and I love unicorns, as you all know. And then they also have kind of like a dark blue, which, you know, kind of purple for the major arcana, and these are archangels. So, you know, if you really like the angelic vibe, and you like Doreen Virtue, then I would recommend this one, because I think this one is probably the best one out of her angel series. I feel like the other ones were kind of rushed, but you know, I think this definitely doesn't hurt when you're learning. It does change some of the names, like Death is Release and the Devil is Ego, but you know, whatever. If some people feel better about that, then that's fine. The other one of hers that's okay is the Guardian Angel Tarot cards. They're very, very sweet. They have a bigger explanation on them. Like the meaning that's written on there, it takes up almost half the card, which you don't really like, but I can see why beginners might like it. And it's got a very sweet sort of look to it, and some people, you know, vibe with this. And again, it's got kind of like color coordinated different themes and things, so you might like this one. I don't like this one quite as much as the Angel Tarot, the first one, but I still do like it, and I kind of pull it out sometimes. Pulled it out last Christmas, and it kind of had like that Christmassy nostalgic kind of vibe to the pictures and stuff, so I think for beginners this can be a helpful one as well. And then finally, my last one I would recommend is great for people who are learning reversals, and this is the Revelations Tarot, which is one of my favorite decks. I'll pull it out here. It is Llewelyn deck. I do have a bag for it because back in the days of flimsy boxes and all that. So that's the back here, and as you can see, it's got a right side up and an upside down, which I really, really like. So it can really, really help you to learn the reversals. I also like sort of the stained glass, kind of more contemporary art on here. So here you've got, so here you've got the Magician right side up, he's all in control. Upside down, he's super introverted into himself. So it is a really great deck for learning things. Here you've got the Ace of Cups, you know, filling to overflowing. Upside down, stuff is spilling out. Right side up, Six of Swords, he's moving forward. Upside down, struggling to move forward. So it's a really, really great deck for learning reversals. And I think that is good. If you're a little further on and you want to learn reversals, I would highly recommend this deck. So those are my top 10. Basically, Rider-Waite-Smith. If you don't like the Rider-Waite-Smith, at least get it as a reference, I would say. But, you know, find yourself a good Rider-Waite-Smith clone artwork that you really, really like. If you like, you know, sort of more oracle cards or angels, I would say go with the Doreen Virtue Angel deck. And if you're learning reversals, I'd say go with this one. So those are my recommendations. If you have any other beginner decks you'd recommend to others, please put them in the list below. Like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you all next time.